Hi, welcome to the sixth part of the Aggregate Demand, Aggregate Supply and Government Intervention lecture of the Introduction to Economics lecture series. This lecture series is prepared for the Middle Technical University Northern Cyprus campus. And we were talking on different factors that actually were causing aggregate demand curve to have a negative slope, as you see here. We have already talked on the aggregate wealth effect. However, the caused by price increase. Well, we should also note that increase in price level, which is again inflation, also cause the interest rate to increase. That's because increase in price level will increase the demand for money. As a result, people, the banks need to increase the interest rate to keep people's money in sight, basically. And well, uh, well, when interest rate is increasing, the investment level will fall. As a result, the demand will fall because the companies demand less investment goods. So this is the second explanation, and usually, I mean, the Keynesian logic is actually usually built by investment, not actually consumption. Basically, this is how the investment is the active factor affected by outside economic conditions, while consumption basically changes through the multiplier, basically kind of the true initiator of changes are either investments or the government spending. So this is for the slope of demand. What may make the demand shift, except we will see government demand intervention case, that's a possibility, but we will see that later. By itself, demand might shift either expectations of the future performance of the economy gets, let's say, worse. In that case, there won't be at least no investment, and it's also possible, possibly also the saving rates might increase, and both of that will basically decrease the demand in the economic system. Secondly, aggregate wealth might change. Here we are not talking on the wealth wealth change created by the inflation, but maybe I don't know. People accumulate more money, more wealth as a result. Aggregate wealth level in the economic system gets higher. That might be one possibility. Another possibility might be, I don't know, maybe internationally there is some increased income flow into the country that might make aggregate wealth level in the country of everyone increase. And here again, note that we are not talking on distribution. Whoever's wealth level is increased, that will create a increase in the aggregate demand. So we don't see how different segments of society create different types of demand. Basically, at least that's not part of the introductory economics courses of any type, in macroeconomics especially. In microeconomics, sometimes you see it in some specific parts, but not in macroeconomics. So now aggregate supply. As we have seen, we have two different aggregate supply for different time frames, and basically we need to define long run and short run for the aggregate supply case. Well, actually we can define short run in a very, very simple way. This will relate our aggregate supply relation to a curve, to a model we have seen, Phillips curve, which is suitable because Phillips curve is also related to the, first it is related to the prices. We also have price level increase, decrease in the Phillips curve, but also unemployment is very much related to the output. Well, if the output level produced in the economic system goes up, there will be more demand for labor, so unemployment will decrease. Only you should note that increase in output level, GDP, means usually, assuming that technology and productivity is constant, will mean that you have less unemployment. So increase in output will decrease unemployment rate. We have opposite relations in that case. So in the short run, just like the Phillips curve. Uh, Prices of the goods may vary since basically we have prices unstable, even in the agri supply, short-run agri supply case. However, wages remain constant, so wages of the workers don't adjust. So wages are Keynes actually has a word for the sticky. They move not that fast up and down. We will talk on this a little bit. So wages change more slowly than prices. So um, we have, I think, already talked on this, but the main idea is the people have already made certain contracts to pay wages. Well, for in case of goods, there can also be contracts, but they are less common and usually more short term. Um, and also, workers might be resistant to those changes. And basically, I mean, the companies, when they consider about firing workers or reducing the wages, they fire workers because reducing wages might they're afraid reducing wages by itself might decrease the productivity of the workers. So in that case, they might be worse off. While they fire the workers, that might even increase the productivity because other people might be afraid of being fired. And the fact that you keep at the same time wage constant makes them even more afraid. I mean, maybe grateful since they can keep it at the same time. They are able to at the same time their wage remains constant in the time of let's say crisis. Uh, So usually, actually, inflation is seen by Keynes as a to change wages uh, together. So inflation actually makes it possible for the workers, the employers, to decrease. I mean, even if you want to keep the buying power of wage constant, you need to have a constant raise, basically. So that gives a tool for the employers. By doing nothing, they are actually decreasing wages in that case. So that's one way inflation might help the employers. Anyway, long run in this case is the time frame where prices and wages change. However, potential output remains constant. So here we should talk on what is the potential output, and it can be as we have seen in the model in economic system, more can be produced than the output, basically, potential output. So then how do we define it? Well, in a very simple way, we can define potential output is a level where the economy is at zero. If we go a little bit more complex, we can say potential output is the level uh, at which both the employment and unemployment level, as well as utilization of other types of inputs like machinery, raw materials, is at its natural level. So if you, for example, have a machine, if you make it work for 10 hours, that might maximize your capacity, what you take from the machine. If you use the same machine for 12 hours, maybe it's what you take as a whole from the machine will get less because it will its life might shorten drastically as a result of this 2 hour increase. So your daily output might increase, but actually the machine might last maybe instead of 10 years, 5 years. So actually your total output you will take from the machine will get much smaller. And we have already seen why a certain amount of unemployment is seen healthy. So if the increase in output level actually decrease the unemployment rate below this healthy level, uh, in that case, well, your output level is above the potential level, which will create problems in the economic system, disturbances in the economic system, because you are overheating your economy, basically. That's the problem. So, we have seen this part. Uh, as we have seen, even in the long run, potential output is remaining constant. We assume there is no growth, there is no improvement in technology. So those things we have already seen. So based on everything we have said up to this point, this is the short-run aggregate supply curve. So it's a curve that is parallel to the Phillips curve. So besides other inputs, you can actually use the same relation for other inputs also, but basically label is seen as a key input here. Note that, because this is maybe the longest one you need to time for reproduce. Production of other inputs can be increased more rapidly. So if you want to increase output from Y1 to Y2, a higher level, in that case your unemployment will decrease. Let's say Y1 was potential output first, to from the Nairobi to a lower unemployment level. But this lower unemployment level, as we see in the case of Philippines, because this wage increases need to be passed to the prices because the company is already giving at the old price level, considering the old price level, the wages are just as high as it could be. So if the company needs to increase the wage level according to this model, it also needs to increase its price level. So basically, going from Y1 to Y2 has decreased the unemployment rate, but this has created an increase in the price level from P1 to P2. Of course, this is straight line. Well, ideally, this should also be straight line, but I mean, the curves I have found are different, so that's why this curve is not straight in this case. But basically, the relation is the same. And just like the long-run Phillips curve, which is a vertical line, and at which the long-run unemployment is always equal to Nairobi, long-run aggregate supply curve is also constant, which you might say is the production level at Nairobi, or potential production level, potential output level. So economy in the long run will always return to this potential output level. Okay. So what can make long run aggregate supply shift? First, short run aggregate supply and long run aggregate supply shift. First, of course, anything that shifts long run aggregate supply will also shift the short run aggregate supply. This is the case. That's the first thing, although we assume long-run aggregate supply is stable in this model, as you can see. But just in case this model is combined with growth model, if long-run aggregate supply increases, short-run aggregate supply will also shift. And what happens in that kind of a growth rate is an interesting question. I mean, to the overall balance of the economic system. But we are leaving it for this course since it is not part of the regular curriculum. Well, increase in other major costs, input costs like wages and oil, for example, may make short-run aggregate supply curve decrease because now the overall cost of production is higher. Companies will produce less, well, at each basically produce less at each price level, basically, because now overall cost of production is higher. Or at each price production level, they will require a higher price. They will only produce more. They will only extend their production to a higher levels if the price gets really much higher than before, because now the input costs are higher, basically. Well, if LRAS is constant, assuming AD is also constant, the intersection between AD curve and long-run aggregate supply curve will be fixed. And in the end, basically, the short-run aggregate supply curve, if it increases or decreases initially, will return to the old equilibrium point. This is the thing you should note. We will talk more on this ADAS model in the next part. See you in the next part.